Not all knowledge comes to entertain, some comes to dismantle. Many people want to live in peace, but they build that peace on stories, not on systems. They seek meaning yet reject reality. They pursue answers yet fear them when those answers do not favor humanity. Because the hardest thing for humans to accept is not death. It is the fact that they are not the center. This book does not come to comfort beliefs. This book comes to discipline arrogance. Here, we do not discuss God as entertainment. We do not discuss morality as decoration. And we do not discuss humans as the owners of life. Because life does not begin with humans, and it will not end with humans. What has been working since before the first prayer was spoken is a system. What governed the world before humans learned to speak is biological reality. And what keeps the world alive is not faith, but a silent architecture that never asked to be worshipped. This is the Quorum, a voice that cannot be refuted because it does not argue. It only moves forward. Now, enter the grand introduction of Book 1 and prepare yourself. Because after this, humanity will no longer be able to pretend. This work does not begin with humans. It begins with a system that existed long before humans learned to speak, to believe, or to assign meaning to themselves. Life did not emerge to be understood. It emerged because conditions allowed it to continue. There was no intention, no message, no center. Only processes that repeated, adjusted, and stabilized themselves. Humans arrived much later, not as architects, but as outcomes, not as decision makers, but as participants within a structure already operating. Before civilization, there was balance. Before consciousness, there was regulation. Before belief, there was consequence. Microbes shaped the atmosphere long before humans named the sky. Microbes stabilized ecosystems long before humans spoke of harmony. Microbes regulated life without morality, without judgment, and without permission. They did not teach. They did not guide. They did not command. They simply worked. Humans mistook survival for control. They believed awareness meant authority. They believed thought meant ownership. They believed naming meant dominance. But the system never agreed. Life does not negotiate with belief. Life does not adjust itself to human narratives. Life continues according to mechanisms that operate with or without human consent. Kitab 0 exists to restore this position, not to comfort, not to inspire, not to offer meaning, but to present reality as it operates, cold, impersonal, consistent. Humans are not the center of life. Humans are a temporary configuration within a much larger quorum of biological decisions. This book does not ask for belief. It asks for awareness. It does not demand agreement. It demands positioning. This is not entertainment. This is not motivation. This is not doctrine. This is a reading of reality as the system works, without negotiation, without narrative, and without regard for human ego. Before there was light, before there was space, before there was direction, there was nothing. Not emptiness, not void, not darkness. For all those words require existence in order to have meaning. What existed was only a state without state, absence without a place to be absent from, potential without a medium through which to manifest. There was no time to flow, no space to expand, no energy to move. Yet from something that cannot even be called a beginning, the first fracture emerged. An imbalance too small to be called turbulence, too large to remain still. That fracture gave birth to direction. Direction gave birth to tension. Tension gave birth to energy. Energy gave birth to space. Space gave birth to time. The universe was not born with a bang. It was born from a slight, inevitable shift. From a silence without a name came the first pull, forcing everything to begin becoming something. And at that moment, the long journey toward life began. Origins that never needed humanity. Before there were continents, before there was a blue sky, before there was anything humans would later call living beings, they were already at work. Without sound, without witnesses, without praise, they, nameless primordial entities living in the deep heat of the earth, were the first architects of life, building biological foundations with a discipline no species after them would ever match. They failed millions of times. They succeeded only a few. Yet from those failures, every form of life on this planet was born. No one commanded them. There was no noble purpose, no sacred narrative. There was only one non-negotiable law: survive or be erased. And that law remains in force to this day. Everything ever called a species, humans, reptiles, mammals, fish, birds, is not ruler of anything. They are merely continuations of an ancient process that does not care who arrives and who disappears. The primordial architects never left signatures, yet every heartbeat, every breath, every genome is an eternal inscription of their work. They are creators who never required titles. They are the origin of all life. And they remain in silence, watching civilizations come and go like seasons that grow tired. A symphony of dust and time. They once ruled this planet. Nothing challenged them. Nothing could halt their march. Nothing dared imagine a world without them. But the earth does not submit to giants. When the sky changed, they lost. When the climate shifted, they lagged behind. When the rhythm of the universe moved a single step faster, their massive bodies failed to follow. There was no anger, no war, no slaughter, only change. And change never negotiates with the slow. Now the bones of those giants lie in silent ground, not as monuments of glory, but as reminders that size does not guarantee survival. They went extinct not because they were weak, but because the world no longer had space for forms that could not adapt. Every bone embedded in the soil is a sentence from nature's most honest scripture. Those who do not adapt vanish. Those who once dominated continents now leave behind an echo louder than their former thunder. There is no eternal power, no might that survives time, no species immune to change, and in the end, what happened to the Titans will happen to anyone who believes themselves irreplaceable. Adapt or perish, the biological imperative. In a world that never stops changing, millions of species appear and disappear like whispers never remembered. Yet a small group of beings exists beyond statistics, beyond history, beyond fear. They never bowed. Not because they are strong, but because they are obedient. Obedient to the oldest law ever written by the earth: adapt or disappear. In forests, the cockroach waits, not as a pest, but as a master strategist, perfecting survival for over 350 million years longer than humanity. In deserts and stone, the scorpion stands guard, an ancient machine whose venom's timeline surpasses all human languages combined. In the oceans, jellyfish and nautilus drift unhurried, creatures requiring no brain to conquer billions of years of climate, sea, and continental change. None of them seek meaning, none build religions, none create mythologies, none define themselves as the center of the universe. They do only one thing perfectly: they survive without complaint, and therefore they remain. They watch each new species arrive with arrogance, build empires, declare itself the pinnacle of creation, and then vanish without trace. These ancient beings are the true witnesses of time. They are the longest lineages, the most stable maps of life, and the loudest reminder that nature does not respect intelligence, does not reward ambition, and never grants exceptions to those who feel special. In the end, humans are not the heirs of Earth. They are merely brief guests who mistake themselves for hosts. The true heirs are these beings, small, unglorious, yet undefeated by arrogance,